What is going on, everybody? It's KB. Before the episode starts, make sure you go check out StreamerSZN's brand new theme music. That's right. We have full-time, brand new theme music thanks to the newest homie and newest member of the music side of Underground Sports Philadelphia homies. That is Mobley. Stay Volk. His new single is out now. It is linked in the description on YouTube, and you'll be hearing it on audio until we can figure out if we can play it on video on StreamerSZN episodes from here on out. That's our new theme music. Stay Volk. Go download it now wherever you get your music, and go check out the music video on YouTube. But now, let's get into the episode of StreamerSZN.
Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
At least I tried 1,000 times to tell you Dylan's back.
Your theme song is
on the podcast.
Your theme song is "Nothing's Wrong When It's With Your Own Blood."
Cue the TV scratch. What is going on, fellow streamers? Welcome into another edition of StreamerSZN, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. It's KB and Dylan coming at you from Underground Studios, Mazzola edition.
Yes, sir.
We are back. Dylan is back. I missed you, buddy.
Missed you too, man.
I want to thank Christian and Keith for hopping in while you were gone.
I appreciate you guys very much, both of you.
It was a blast, and I'm sure it won't be the last time for Christian being on the show, because we had a very fun clip go kind of viral when he was on the show. If you missed that, go check it out on YouTube and Instagram. It's all about the Blade drama and everything. It was very fun. The impending doom, if you will. So go check that out and go check out that episode. It was a lot of fun to record. But Dylan is back, and we've got lots of things to talk about. Dylan has not talked about Andor on this show yet. Dylan has not talked about the House of the Dragon time jump yet.
No, dude.
And one of our favorite humans, favorite TV show characters, is back as of today, and we're going to get into that right off rip. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials, at StreamerSZN on Twitter, Instagram. Follow at Underground PHI on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. And you can follow me on Instagram at KBizzle11. Just change my Twitter 3 to an E, and you got me on Instagram. I've been posting clips on there. Dylan, I posted my reaction. I feel like I was one of the first people to post it. We haven't talked since Deadpool 3 was announced with the one and only Hugh Jackman. I posted a reaction clip to that, and it went stupid viral on Instagram in terms of the size of my Instagram, which is not very big. Got like 3K views on a video, which is stupid.
Yeah.
But Deadpool's back, and that's why you can follow me on Instagram. I'm going to try to start doing more clips on Instagram to build some traction for the people.
Respect it.
Make sure you check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Subscribe to the podcast feed. And I've been doing this the last 2 weeks. Dylan, say the line.
Did it feel weird? Did it feel weird for you to do it? No.
I feel like the Bart Simpson meme right now. Say the line.
Say the line. No, it feels great to be able to say this again. So obviously in those reviews across the platforms, whether you're leaving a comment / subscribe on YouTube, or you're leaving a review and comment on Spotify or Apple, let us know what you want us to watch next.
Hooray!
Kyle's like, woof, weight off my shoulders.
I will insert that meme for anybody that lives under a rock and doesn't know that Bart Simpson meme. I'm going to meme that and put that on our social.
That's awesome.
Put your face on Bart.
Yeah. No, it's just Kyle and I are going through a gauntlet once again. I mean, so much so that I missed, I feel like, a plethora of episodes being out 2 weeks. And full disclosure, I had a wedding the 1 week. It was in the middle of a hurricane. Shout out to Mikey. And then,
Hurricane.
And the week before that,
we let everybody know you were going through your Elvis arc.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know.
That's accurate.
Well, sorry about your luck.
Let's just say that was an explosive week.
Dylan had a lot of peanut butter and fluff sandwich.
It was an explosive week, Kyle. But no, seriously, let us know what you want us to watch. Right now, we're going through a gauntlet. I keep saying that. It's true. I mean, there's 3 shows being discussed today. Yeah, 3 shows. Yeah, it feels weird saying that.
First time in a long time we've had 3 shows like this stretch run.
But eventually, inevitably, that will die down. And if it doesn't, who cares? Because Kyle test run and other guys filled on the pot. Maybe going forward, we can have like one-off episodes about shows that you guys want us to watch. So that
was how this show started.
Exactly. So it's important for you to go out there and give us some love and let us know what you also want us to watch, because there's so gosh darn many TV shows to stream.
And I do have a fun proposition too. Once She-Hulk is over and once one of these kind gentlemen catch up. One of them is behind, one of them is caught up, Dylan. We have 2 people at this company who, one had never watched a single Marvel property ever, and one had watched some here and there but wanted to go full-blown. And about a year ago, they both started the timeline journey.
About a week ago.
DJ is all caught up, including having watched...
Wait, like everything?
Everything, including having watched the Defenders stuff from Netflix.
Even the new shows, too?
Yeah, he is caught up on She-Hulk. Like, today, he is watching episode 8 of She-Hulk.
So he's watched WandaVision,
Loki, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, Hawkeye. He watched Daredevil before Hawkeye because I told him to do that, and he enjoyed Hawkeye that much more. He watched Miss Marvel. He watched Moon Knight. He loved Moon Knight as well. And
Moon Knight was a good show, man.
I can't wait for him to watch today's episode of She-Hulk that we're going to get into. But make sure also you guys subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Full video episodes of StreamerSZN and all of the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcasts on that YouTube channel. We are on that road to 1K challenge.
Yes, sir.
That gauntlet, if you will. And Dylan, I'm going to give you the live update right now because we did gain some subbies today. We're almost a quarter of the way to 1K. We're at 249 YouTube subscribers right now.
That's a lot.
Quarter of the way. And you already know what's going down when we get to 1K. Our portion of the Gauntlet Challenge has been thrown down. Dylan is cosplaying as a character from a show or a movie voted on by the people that we have reviewed on this show.
And I'm going to regret that.
And I will be watching season 1 of Game of Thrones, because... if this is your first time watching, I've never watched Game of Thrones, but I'm watching House of the Dragon because I'm going in timeline order. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below your thoughts on all these shows we're going to be talking about, all the news and notes we have later on in the show, brought to you by our pals over at Pickup. But subscribe. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades.
Yes, sir.
Best small batch eyewear in the game. You should be wearing I was wearing my blue light glasses when we had our fantasy hockey draft tonight, Dylan.
That's true. We did do that.
And I wore them when I was watching Andor here to catch up on Andor because we had a lot going on this week in the studio.
Yes, sir.
You guys can get 25% off your order at TomahawkShades.com with code USP at checkout. That's code USP at TomahawkShades.com for 25% off your order from our pals at Tomahawk Shades. Kenwood Beer, I'm letting you guys know right now, 2023 is going to be a massive year with Underground Sports and all of our podcasts in Kenwood Beer. We have some things cooking right now. Get excited. It's Dylan's favorite beverage of choice when he is hulking out on a dragon in a galaxy far, far away, okay? That's how you know it's the best, because it can span 3 different universes. Go to kenwoodbeer.com. Use the all-new and improved Kenny tracker. You should be cracking open an ice cold Kenny when you're watching all of these shows along with us. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And our pals over at Bino dropping new World Cup and now Premier League inspired boards,
dude,
Dylan.
Some of those boards are sweet.
By the time you guys are listening to this, they will have the very first Premier League inspired board, Arsenal board, dropping at noon Eastern time. So all you Gunners out there, all you Arsenal fans, go get your Bino boards, get your accessories, your merch, all that good stuff for your man cave, your she shed, your tailgates, and your in-between show and movie watching experiences. And use code BINHOUSP, that's BINHOUSP, for 10% off your order at BINHOboard.com.
In the words of Matt, it's not Liverpool, but it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Dylan, let's Hulk out. Let's get into episode 8 of She-Hulk. I watched the episode this afternoon, so it's fresh in my mind, obviously dropping on Thursdays. there's a lot to unpack from this episode. And before we even get even close to our ratings, I'm going to go out and say this was the best episode of the season so far.
Well, yes. For me, it was the best episode by far because it gave me the one thing I've been waiting for. And that's no knock to any of the actors or actresses in the show. I've made it very apparent throughout our journey that I'm not its biggest fan. I'm not also the biggest hater, but I was very eagerly awaiting the anticipation and the buildup of what came out of this episode. And I even threw some things in that if you told me I would have to see Charlie Cox do a walk of shame,
Unbelievable.
I did not think that was going to be on my bingo board, Kyle, and I'm glad it was. I'm glad it was.
There's a lot to unpack, and there's a lot to unpack since you've been gone.
Since you...
We can talk She-Hulk for the first time. The intelligentsia has been introduced, which is something we've talked about before they got introduced.
Yes, sir.
And this episode brings that into full, public eye, if you will, towards the end of the episode. But I think the number one thing that stands out to me from this episode of She-Hulk is we get, it's been hinted at here and there since Civil War, but we get full-blown facts now from Matt Murdock as he enters the courtroom saying, I'm here, welcome Charlie Cox, welcome into our favorite son, Daredevil. Matt Murdock walking into that courtroom was fantastic.
Yes, sir.
We have Leapfrog, Guard Frog.
Guard Frog.
Putting jet fuel into his rocket boosters, taking himself to court. Jen loses her relationship with her suit creator, our MCU Edna Mode, if you will.
No cape.
No capes, no dress. Goodbye. You're dead to him. Matt Murdock walks through the courtroom doors, and I was like, let's go. This is what we've been waiting for since episode 5.
That's true.
He comes through, and then he brings up that the Sokovia Accords have been pretty much pushed aside. Nobody really cares about Sokovia Accords anymore. And
that's yesterday's news.
I think this is super important for Matt Murdock in the MCU because he's still one of the few heroes that we have now that he is fully MCU canon, that is still going under that secret identity. Nobody knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, per se.
Well, yeah, no, that's true.
Outside of the few people that do know, the general public, I should say.
No, yeah, he's not Tony Stark revealing himself.
He's not She-Hulk.
Or Bruce Banner. Or obviously Captain America. Actually, it's not. Is it that he? Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, it's known Cap is. Yeah, especially after Civil War.
So my point is,
I think up until the run of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man was really the only mysterious, still kind of secret identity hero we had in the MCU. Now Daredevil's here. Nobody really knows in the MCU canon.
Ant-Man.
Do people? Well. Here's the thing. I'm waiting.
He has a podcast, though, right? So maybe
he does
not
have a podcast. So
he doesn't necessarily reveal himself by name in the podcast.
Right. So here's the thing, too. Ant-Man is the last movie run on my Marvel catch-up. But I'm waiting until Quantumania gets closer, so then I can just kind of do what I do with Doctor Strange.
I saw a leaked trailer for that.
I did, too.
On TikTok?
Yeah. It might have been on Instagram or Twitter, but came from TikTok.
If you don't want to be spoiled by this, it's not anything crazy. Blah. Okay.
I think we've talked about this a little bit.
Maybe, but
because they showed it at D23.
So Bill Murray's in the movie,
which we talked about. It was in an unknown role.
It's just,
but he's there.
But seeing him in the trailer, I was like, "What the hell is going on here?" I'm intrigued.
But Daredevil's not known to the public. He plays it. Here's Matt Murdock, and here is Daredevil, which he kind of brings up to Jen when they're at the bar. The Sokovia Accords are going to be important for him, though, because he's not going to want heroes to register on the Sokovia Accords.
Because he's living a
identity secret.
Because living a double life.
And then She-Hulk, who is out in the public, she's going to be like, yes, superheroes should register. I think, and I've heard a few people, this is not fully my theory, but it was something I thought of, coming into She-Hulk, because this could potentially lead us to Civil War II.
Civil War II, yep. That's a good point.
And that's why Matt Murdock coming into the MCU in Spider-Man No Way Home and now being introduced full-blown as Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the MCU is important because he's going to be a key piece on this chessboard moving forward.
And it further shows why he helped Peter, because he understands the duality of living two lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
And he very much wanted to defend him. And he very much will defend that going forward, kind of like how you brought up. Which is interesting, because you're thinking about it, a lot of the heroes, like you said, are kind of already out in terms of, like, people know their identity / them being a hero, or, like...
We got heroes walking the streets now.
Or they don't really have, like, an identity per se. Like, for example, like, the wonderful Florence Pugh, like, her character in the Marvel, until recently, was a brainwashed spy. And she was deprived of a life before that, essentially. So, like, she doesn't really have the two halves per se. You know what I mean? Like, she kind of only is, like, the spy. Same thing with her sister, unfortunately. Whereas, I don't know, because I guess Hawkeye technically has two. Like, I wouldn't say he has two lifestyles. He just kind of hid his family. He's not really wearing a mask or anything. There's no, like,
and going in, like, Hawkeye was working for S.H.I.E.L.D.
He
initially.
was a government agent. It wasn't like private. Yeah. But it's a great concept that I'm glad you brought that up, because that goes. There's a lot of heroes that I'd be curious to see where they fall if there was a Civil War II. Like with Shang-Chi, like, would he be for it? You know what I mean?
Good point.
Like they're the new echelon, the new age of heroes. Would the person, I believe is it Shuri? Who's taking on the role of Black Panther?
I have a theory, because we did get a new trailer for that. That we're gonna have multiple Black Panthers in this movie. I think we're gonna, because this trailer, I think, kind of shows in a quick flash multiple new suits. So I think we're gonna have multiple Black Panthers.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get too sidetracked. I just brought that up because, good point though, Kyle. Because traditionally in the comics, Wakanda does not give a fuck about anything else besides Wakanda.
Mm-hmm.
So they would probably not want to register on the registry. But in the MCU version, T'Challa made them a little more open and helping. So who knows?
But he was also still Team Tony Stark, who wanted them to register. But yeah, I think Matt Murdock coming in and that being kind of, here's the update on the Sokovia Accords, I think was a big time piece of information from this episode that made this episode so great. Then we get Matt and Jen at the bar flirting. That sexual tension is easy to see.
You could have cut it with a knife.
Ooh, buddy.
Cut it with a knife.
I like the advice that Matt gave to her. Is like, Jen can defend the people in court, and then She-Hulk can defend them when the court fails them. Very much, Netflix Daredevil-esque Matt Murdock.
Yes, sir.
And then let's get right to it. We get Frogman calling up Jen, being like, "I need help."
That's kind of sound like that.
And then we get the scene that we've seen in all the trailer footage: the green car rolling up, Matt Murdock, Daredevil in the new red and gold suit, flipping over the car, and he and Jen going toe to toe, which was very, very cool.
Ultimately, though, and also it shows you the level of a street hero versus like a super being.
Mm-hmm.
Like Matt's character can only last for so long. Well, I can make that joke. If you know, you know.
Waka waka.
Yeah, yo. No, but my point is, like, he can only fight her for so long.
And I think it was key what she did using the Hulk clap.
That probably hurt his ears.
Exactly. And I like that they brought up, too, that he has great hearing. Well, he used to. If you've watched Daredevil on Netflix, you know. I loved the callbacks to Matt Murdock, Daredevil, Netflix era, because it makes the introduction into the MCU so seamless for the people that love, adore, and want the mantle of the Netflix version of Daredevil to continue on in the MCU and not get watered down. And I think now that we've gotten the Deadpool 3 announcement, knowing that movie's going to be rated R, you know, all of the people I've seen on Twitter who have gotten the screeners for Werewolf by Night, which comes out by the time you're listening to this, so we'll be talking about that next week for you guys. They've said that it's the most horror-filled and like dark, twisted thing Marvel's ever put out, which is very exciting for you and I, wanting and craving Marvel to go down this darker route because they have the opportunity to do so. I think that's giving them a little more freedom to allow them to keep Daredevil in this kind of dark area. And there were rumors that this was kind of going to be a more lighthearted take on Matt Murdock, which there was more flirtatious, you know, chemistry and everything.
But he's kind of a flirt in the comics, though.
Right, and even in the Netflix show, he was a big-time flirt with Karen Page, with Rosario Dawson's character. Like, he still flirted a ton, and I think...
He did more than just flirt.
You know, overall, ranking on where, you know, Daredevil is right now in the MCU on my scale, I'd still say it's pretty damn close to what we got in that. We had a fucking hallway fight scene.
Yeah.
You never want to run into Daredevil in a hallway.
That's very true.
I got, like, it sounds stupid, but I got chills because I was like, let's go. They're not, like, fumbling the bag with him. Like, they're letting this character continue to be what he was on Netflix. Letting him fight in that hallway scene was fucking amazing. They showed a lot more, I think, you know, violence than they typically have in previous shows, which was great. And then, you know, at the end of that fight scene, though, between Jen and Matt, she takes the mask off, puts the mask back on, and she, you know, questions, hey, are you, you know,
Blind.
Gold Devil? And then, Dylan, we got the music. We got the Netflix theme music for Daredevil.
We did.
And I must say, I got chills when that happened. I freaked the fuck out. I said, that's the music. And the fact that they are able to bring that in, and I think...
Insert Leo. Hey! That's the guy.
I was ecstatic because I think the Daredevil Netflix theme song is one of the best pieces of instrumentation for a show this century, which is obviously 22 years, but it's one of the best. When you hear that, it's like, oh, Daredevil. Bang. Like,
that's high praise.
When I went through and did my Daredevil watch at the end of last year, like, I did not skip the opening credits at all because that song is a banger.
It is.
And to hear it in the MCU,
it's pretty cool. It's like
super
it's
cool.
kind of full circle moment.
It means they have the rights to it and have the ability to continue using it, which makes me very excited for Daredevil Born Again in 2024 because I feel like they're just going to use that as the theme song, which has me very excited.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Don't fix it. So I was very, you know, it was very similar to when we heard in Miss Marvel.
Or for, you didn't watch it, but for anyone who watched both shows, watching House of Dragons, it's the same theme song.
Oh, yeah. That was electric when I heard, you know, I've heard that theme song before, and it's great music, and you hear that again, it's like, oh, snap. So to hear the Daredevil theme song in the show, it's now MCU canon.
10 out of 10.
It's fantastic. What did you think of the suit? Because I thought it looked great.
I'm a little mixed on it. I think I have to digest. My favorite, I'm a big Daredevil person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like, I've read some of his comics, not all of them. I'm not going to claim I read all of them. One of the suits I like is there's like a version, it's like black and red. It's primarily black with like red and looks badass. So obviously I'm partial. So me personally, I don't exactly like the color scheme, but I do like the way his eyes look.
And it did look comic accurate. I will say that.
That was true.
You know, what it was.
They didn't deviate too far from
Yeah.
source material. And maybe I'll grow into it. It's just, for me, I'm not completely sold on the suit, and that's not really a big deal because I'm still very ecstatic that Charlie Cox / Daredevil is back, baby. And that's all that matters. and
yeah, when you walk through those courtroom doors, I just instant Idris Elba. I want you to tell them that we back up.
I feel almost bad in a way because this is, in my opinion, this is not as bad, not as prevalent, because this show at least was able to somewhat set a setting and a precedent. But like for me, because I'm a big Daredevil person, this is no knock on She-Hulk. For me, like all I care about is that Daredevil is in the show. It's kind of my comparison was gonna be like with Book of Boba Fett when they threw Mandalorian in there. It's like, hey.
I think the one big difference though is that, you know, Matt Murdock coming in, I think helped elevate this episode above everything because he's a beloved character by so many people.
Yeah, I'm a
think
beloved fanboy. That's why
they teased us for 2 weeks after showing the helmet in episode 5, and then episode 6 we get this inconvenient mid-season wedding episode, and then last week we get more plot development, which I really enjoyed with episode 7 of getting more intelligentsia stuff and everything like that. And then we get Daredevil finally.
And
I think it was just like kind of that like build up. It was like, all right, when is it going to happen? You know, we have X amount of episodes left. We have 3 episodes. We have 2 episodes left, guys. Where is Daredevil?
Where is he?
And I think him finally showing up, it was like, wow, this like elevated this episode so much. But I think the cool aspect, and I think this was something you and I talked about when She-Hulk was like announced, and we knew that once we found out that Charlie Cox was going to reprise his role as Daredevil in this show, we felt like they were going to complement each other very, very well and kind of be a tandem. We didn't know if it was going to be a romantic thing, which later on in this episode we find out, yes, it is. But it always felt like they were on a collision course to be involved with each other in the MCU moving forward once Matt Murdock came through in Spider-Man No Way Home, and then once She-Hulk was announced, you know, what was it, 2 years ago now?
Yeah, give or take.
It always felt like, oh, the lawyers are going to team up. And I think the chemistry on screen, outside of, you know, the sexual tension, I think just the ebbs and flows of both characters are fantastic.
Yeah, I like it. It's a good point you brought up because, you know, you thought they'd be like, they're very friendly. They're getting along. I mean, in some ways more than
they Marvin Gaye and got along.
Yes, sir. You know how it is. But I do ultimately think it goes back to my prediction that they'll end up fighting legally for different things. And I think that full circle moment comes into the Soviet Accords, Civil War II, what you brought up. So Kyle and I are both on the same page in a different way, and we came to the same point where they're going to be opposed of each other, which makes the sexual tension more intriguing because it's going to be a classic case of like, I might like you, you might like me, we're friends, but we do not want the same thing.
And I think on the flip side too, if they end up recasting or, you know, reassembling the Defenders, I full-blown think She-Hulk could be part of the Defenders as well as the West Coast Avengers.
She can join whatever team she wants.
Yeah, like
first of all, who's gonna tell her no?
Yeah, and Mark Ruffalo has said the MCU cannot move forward any longer without She-Hulk, which I think is very, very important. And I think towards the end of this episode, after we Marvin Gaye and got it on, after Charlie Cox's phenomenal walk of shame,
incredible cinema right there.
The amount of fourth wall breaking, to, you know, I was when she's talking to us and saying, you know, this is usually when you guys leave and the episode's over, which has kind of been the case recently. It was a lot of like weird, eerie fourth wall breaking. And I don't know if you picked up on it too. Her friend Nikki in the background, she did the Wolverine thing with the shink. She was reading that article in episode 3. But what did you make of the excess amount of fourth wall breaking? Because it felt very, very like attention to detail, like this is meant to happen, because it almost felt kind of like WandaVision in a sense, where when she's kind of talking to us in those latter episodes and like being like, oh, I'm fine, and, you know, breaking the fourth wall in the Modern Family episode of WandaVision, it felt like it was kind of like a cry for help because She-Hulk doesn't really know what to do anymore.
So if you think it's a cry for help, what do you think that plays into then? Like you're saying in general, like she was just confused about her career and like what she's going through. I think it was
more of a confusion of like, you know, what I saw a great theory that part of the snap and the amount of snaps we had is part of, this radiation type stuff that allows Jen to break the fourth wall. It's just very interesting that it lasted, and I feel like it's gonna be important. I just don't know exactly why yet. And then when she's at the gala and everything happens outside, and she like looks at the screen like nervously, and it's like, I don't know what to do anymore. It's almost like she's losing control of everything around her. And then obviously we go inside, a bunch of people get these awards, and then the intelligentsia stuff happens. I found it very funny that she Hulk smashed her ass to break all the screens.
Hulk smash is a very effective tool.
Yeah.
Or it's like a Pokemon. Hulk smash is very effective.
But who do you think is overall in charge of the intelligentsia stuff? Because I think Todd is a red herring type situation.
He's just there kind of.
I think he's there working for somebody else, and I think with the announcement at D23 that the leader is coming back, I think he is 1,000% part of this thing. But I also found it very strange that Todd was able to purchase at that auction the Wakandan spear. Kind of strange.
So it's
and
strange
I think that's
twice.
kind of
Are you hinting at something?
Doc? I think that's a build into Wakanda Forever as well. That's coming out next month. But
is it that soon? Holy crap.
It's wild. I think this episode was... There's so much to still kind of like break down and like look at.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
detailed.
give it the annual. I call it the Kyle Bennett twice over. I'm gonna have to look it over again.
I thought this episode was fantastic. There was so much packed into it.
It's my favorite one so far.
Easily,
for sure.
Leaps and bounds ahead of all of them, and not that, in my opinion, any of them were bad. This one just like blew the roof off the place with everything that went down.
I've been critical of the show, and this is the best episode for me so far. So that speaks volumes to like how good it was. You know what I mean? In comparison to the other ones, in my opinion.
And I think we're gonna get another team up with Matt Murdock and Jen next week potentially.
I'm sure Matt wants another team up too.
And
Ayo.
potentially Leapfrog involved as well. It kind of felt like he was kind of turning a page a little bit too, and it's kind of like he's using... I also love the goons and henchmen debate.
I like Leapfrog. He's funny.
I am just very curious. And also during the fourth wall break when she said, is this going to be another plot twist where we find out that there's a Red Hulk or that I'm getting fridged? Do your research on the refrigerator theory from the comics and everything. Second, DC crossover into Marvel as well, because refrigerator references happened in Green Lantern initially. So but do your research. It's basically refrigerator, when that gets mentioned in a comic, it's basically like killing a character off unexpectedly and throwing them in a refrigerator. And it happened a lot to female characters in the comics because... back in the day, we sucked as a society and killed off all the female characters. So do your research on it. It's a very interesting topic. That was actually the very first podcast I've ever recorded in my life with our friends at the comic book store, with Tim, for his podcast, Capes and Scowls. I did an episode with him on the refrigerator topic and everything. So do your research on it. It's a very fascinating thing in the comic book world, but I loved all of the Easter eggs hidden in that one scene alone. Overall, next week's going to be wild. The finale. It's crazy that we're already here. What's your number one hope for next week, Dylan, from this show?
That She-Hulk has to do a walk of shame this time. Gender equality, Kyle.
I like it.
Just kind of being a troll, but I guess I hope that happens because that implies something else.
Do you think we'll get a post-credit scene? Because it's been since episode 4.
I think we'll get a post-credit scene, and I think it will tie in to either us getting a Red Hawk. I think it will tie in somehow to my boy Sam Rockwell as Army Hammer as what's his
Justin
name?
Hammer.
Justin Hammer. Army Hammer is like actor who eats people. Wrong guy. Something along those lines, I think, will be hinted. Maybe some kind of criminal.
I think we're going to see a leader reveal.
Some call me a teacher. Others
a leader.
Others a terrorist.
I think the leader is going to get revealed, who we saw, obviously, in the Ed Norton Incredible Hulk film way back in 2008. because he's going to be in Captain America: New World Order and is the main antagonist in that film. And I think that's what this show is leading into.
I hope it's just Edward Norton as his Fight Club character, though, not the Hawk.
So I'm hoping we get a reveal of the leader, kind of in charge of the intelligentsia, because the intelligentsia involves our boy Dr. Doom at one point as well. MODOK. It could involve Zola. There's a lot of pieces in the intelligentsia here. Egghead from the
I just want more
movies.
Baron Zemo content.
Yes. And I think the other thing we have to think about too, Dylan, because remember way back to WandaVision, we got the 2 post-credit scenes with Monica Rambeau going up with the Skrull, and then we got what was the second post-credit scene in WandaVision?
I could not tell you for the life of me. It is late and I am tired, but I could not remember that.
But the next show outside of Werewolf by Night, the Halloween special, the next show we get on Disney Plus for Marvel is not until spring of 2023, and it's Secret Invasion.
Secret Tunnel.
Secret Invasion, man. I think we're going to get something that gives us a little taste of that. Potentially somebody getting revealed as a Skrull. Oh, I also think Hulk is coming back next week from whatever planet he's been on for the last 8 episodes.
He's been on Baby Making Planet.
But I think we're going to get some sort of Skrull situation in a post-credit scene to tie into Secret Invasion, and we'll also get something with Captain America: New World Order. Which, Dylan, episode 8 of She-Hulk, what's it get on your rating scale?
I don't think I've given one in the 7s at all, so I'm gonna go in the 7s for this guy, or this gal, if you want to. And I'm gonna give it.
And gal.
It's true. That's true. There's 2. I'm gonna give it a 7.2.
I love this episode, man. This is getting a very high grade from me.
Go for it, bro.
Mostly from
make yourself do that math to average it out.
Aspect of they didn't nerf Daredevil, in my opinion. I felt like they continued on with what he is known to be. The hallway fight scene happened. It didn't feel like it was like, oh, we Disney-fied him in any sense. He also had his baton, which I thought was pretty fucking sweet.
I was worried about his character being brought into the Disneyverse, but I was Disneyverse. But I'm more so worried about eventually sidetrack when they bring in John Bernthal as the Punisher,
who is coming back. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes,
he is confirmed to be in Daredevil: Born Again and replacing what was going to be the Jessica Jones appearance due to scheduling conflicts with the actor who plays Jessica Jones. So Punisher's back, baby. What score did you give this episode again? I'm sorry.
A 7.2. Do that math. Do that math. Do.
They didn't nerf Daredevil. I thought this was the best interpretation of Jen and She-Hulk. We got the traditional comic accurate She-Hulk super suit.
Yeah.
We got Frogman, Leapfrog, whatever you want to call him.
A born again hero.
I thought this episode was fantastic. It was also very, the goons and henchmen. It was very, very sweet. That club that they were in. It was very dope. I like that. The Walk of Shame was phenomenal.
That was
incredible. And then the breaking the fourth wall stuff just had me on edge. And then that final scene of the intelligentsia stuff happening. They packed so much in, plus all the Easter eggs. I'm giving this episode, ladies and gentlemen, a fat 9.4.
God damn.
So for the people at home, that's an average score for episode 8 of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, of an 8.3 out of 10. 9.4 from me, 7.2 from Dylan, and we're going to go from hulking out over to Westeros.
So, I just want to go off and say this about this show. I told Kyle, when we were watching Andor, we were shooting the shit, we were catching him up, talking. We haven't seen each other in a while. I was off the show
talking
for 2
about
weeks.
them dragons, talking about
damn dragons. We them dragons. So I'm honestly
Before you continue, I just thought of something very fun. We just did our own time jump. It's been 2 weeks since you've been on. We jumped time. Dylan's back.
Yeah. So I honestly, and if you don't want to hear a curse word, cover your ears, earmuffs. I don't give a fuck about any character at this point. And I don't mean that in the regards of I don't like the show, because I'm enjoying the show. I've never felt this way. I'm actively rooting for the demise of almost every single person in this show. And it just goes back to, I made the comment before, in Game of Thrones there was several honor-bound characters. And in this show, there really isn't any honor-bound characters. Like, I mean, there's some characters that do some good, but they're all relatively selfish, and which is good. It plays to the tune of the show. I mean, like, because you could easily sum up each Game of Thrones episode or House Dragon ultimately is, so Kyle, a bunch of people fought for their right to be a king or a queen or a prince or a princess. And there's a little sexy time, and someone got stabbed, and someone burned to death. I mean, obviously, it's more than that, but, like, that's what, you know what I mean? So,
Oddly enough, somebody got stabbed this week.
I'm telling you, I'm seeing...
Multiple people got stabbed.
They did get stabbed. So, my thought is, and this ties into this episode, like, people I see on social media are claiming to be Team Black, and that is in favor of Rhaenyra and Damien.
The old Targaryen clan.
Targaryen, essentially. Whereas Team Green is a mixture of Valerian and Hightower. I guess technically Targaryen blood because the king and her children.
Yeah.
So the Green team is Green
I
team
don't
rules.
even know if it's the Valerians, really. I think it's more of that baby back bitch.
Well, it might.
Who has surpassed our baby back bitch king in my book? That fucking clown, Sir Kristen Cole.
I think the king has actually shown himself throughout the show to be
he's just ready to die.
very much so, and I want that for him. I think he's actually probably one of the best men in the show in terms of honor.
The new baby back bitch in my book, though,
is the crippled
Sir
guy?
Kristen Cole.
Yeah.
He fucking sucks.
And I know crippled might not be politically correct, but for this bastard, I'll call him crippled.
He sucks.
I'm also in the confines of the show. I don't think they had a politically correct term for a person.
Are we talking about the same guy? I don't know if we are.
Oh, so Kristen.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the dude with the limp.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about Mr. Firefly Kane. I'm talking about
Firefly Kane.
Sir Kristen Cole is a fucking bitch boy.
Oh, yeah. He bullies kids, bro.
Oh, my God. I hate that
He's
guy. He's such a simp.
If you catch my drift, he's got little shrimp noodle energy. It's a shame, too. It's a shame because I liked that character at first. We all know it. I said it. I was like, this guy's cool. And then that went to shite.
Yeah. Big takeaways from this episode in my book. One, I went full blown. I was lucky enough I was able to watch this when it debuted on Sunday because I didn't really have anything else to
I was still
do.
getting back to reality from a wedding.
I went full-blown Michael Jordan watching this. I audibly said, man, fuck them kids. I was tweeting about these kids outside of Damon's kids with his now burned alive wife, the twin girls. I'm cool with them. I'm cool with Rhaenyra's kids.
I was going to say, her kids actually aren't that bad.
Yeah,
They're pretty tame.
The bastard children are fine.
It's just the blonde hair boys.
The fucking Hightower mixed with King Boy kids.
So Hightower / Valerian.
Aegon and Aemon
Targaryen
can kick rocks. I was audibly rooting and cheering when motherfucker lost his eye.
Yeah, that was pretty
Which
nuts.
was a callback to their sister saying that in the previous episode, saying that if he was going to get a dragon, he was going to have to close an eye. And that's exactly what he did.
Homeboy did secure the biggest dragon there is.
Yeah.
And that's a little terrifying because
I was hoping
he's
gonna
given
fall
me
off that thing too.
He's given me like school shooter vibes.
Oh, 100%.
And like
which obviously trigger warning to anybody out there. We don't want to,
No, I'm speaking into
support that.
Yeah, no, I'm not supporting that.
I know exactly what you mean.
If you know what I mean, people, I'm saying that in terms of if you watch the show, which hopefully
you
you
say
do.
one wrong thing, he's gonna snap.
And now he has a dragon that can breathe fire on command. And that dragon's huge. You could literally...
It's the oldest dragon in Westeros.
Could run through a wall. I don't know. Like, it's huge.
Got the holes in the wings and everything. I was hoping that dragon was going to fucking chomp his head off.
Yes. That would have been hilarious. Or if it burned him and they ate him, like
Char that bitch.
like a
He sucks. His
delightful
brother
Scooby
sucks.
snack.
Fucking Westeros Mike Wheeler.
High towers. Allison sucks too.
Allison's the worst. I can't stand her.
I don't really like.
I saw an article too that I talked about the first week you were out. The actress who plays older Allison now, she said that the way that she was told to like carry and portray her character is like a woman for Trump.
Interesting.
And I was like, holy fuck.
Now, I can't say I support this character. I supported Rhaenyra when she said the line of like, "Now they see you for who you truly are."
So
I was
awesome.
like, "Ooh!"
I said, "Ding, ding!" I was like Apollo Creed.
I hear no bell.
You want to ring the bell? Ding, ding.
I mean, a lot happened in the episode, but also at the same time,
She got cut with that blade.
But also at the same time, not like I'm not trying to simplify it, but I think genuinely the biggest point is that the lines and the sand were finally drawn that episode. Like it's building, it's still technically building, but like there's very much two sides.
100%.
Very much two sides.
And I think that's
Team
why
Green, Team Black.
Even though it didn't feel like a lot transpired per se, there was the one big scene, obviously, that happens between the kids and then whole family dynamic. But I think that was so important to progress the plot that it made it feel.
Yeah, because most of the episode was they basically just go to
we had the funeral
and they're
the wife.
basically they're at the same place the entirety of the episode.
It's a fucking giant ass graveyard
the
underwater.
Episode's only like 2 days really, because they go there, it turns night to day, and they're into the next day.
As far as we know.
Yeah, but my point is like it all
in
takes
this show
place,
that could be 4 years.
It all takes place roughly in a small loop of time, and a lot of things transpire.
And
like a kid losing his eye,
kid loses the eye,
getting into dragon.
Electric. I think the biggest thing that I picked up on from just watching, like, you know, reviews and breakdown
also
videos.
Damon laughing when they're doing the funeral.
I love Damon's character.
He's a needed.
He might be a scumbag sometimes, but he's great.
He's interesting.
The thing I picked up was Allison's daughter that they have. She's always with the bugs.
Yeah, does she have maybe some...
She says something, I forget what the line is, but if you go back and watch it, you'll see, you know, talking about, like, the last legs of that centipede or whatever aren't there. And a lot of people are tying that. I know what happens at the end of Game of Thrones because I laughed at all of the people who watched it through for a decade.
You think she's a Raven person? Like,
well, a lot of people think she's a dreamer.
Okay.
Or something, but saying that the legs on the last set of legs aren't there is a hint to Homeboy who ends up being on the throne because he can't walk. And it basically, like, kills off any further progression of kings and everything.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
I thought that was one of the cooler, like,
little tie-in, Easter egg kind of vibes,
type of things that is kind of hinting at what's to come in this universe.
Yeah,
her character fascinates me though because there's a lot of
she hasn't been shown much either.
Right, but the details they do show are so like important and intricate, and her dragon too. I don't know if you saw this or whatever, but her dragon is the one that eventually has the 3 eggs that Daenerys gets in Game of Thrones.
That's awesome.
So their characters are super important.
So they're kind of connected in that regard. And I was reading, no spoilers. I was reading like loosely, like a spoiler-free kind of like lore dump of like the books and stuff. So like, I think that they've already confirmed with season 2, right?
Yes, and they confirmed that they are going to be doing somewhere in the range of 3 to 5 seasons of this.
Yeah, so basically season 2 and season 3 is going to be just straight up like battles and crazy shit. Like this is the build up, and we're almost there because it's only how many episodes are left.
So this was episode 7 of House of the Dragon. We have 10 episodes this season.
So we're almost done. So my point is like the line is very much drawn. It's going to further. I think even the end of this episode. I just thought about it because you corrected me. You're right. Valeria, they're technically on the one,
like
but
on Daenerys' side in a sense.
But
line to why?
But with the fake death of their son, they might go Team Green.
There's a lot of things.
They might go Team Green because they might blame Rhaenyra for it.
And now Rhaenyra and Daemon are married.
And
in
that's
a
going
traditional Targaryen wedding.
That's going to piss off a lot of people, though. A lot of people do not want to see that level of like ancestral, like traditional birthright be thrust.
Thing that I'm intrigued by, because it's obvious that we're going to have a civil war, if you will,
to the two sides, two factions.
With Homeboy now going off to live his life in secrecy, what happens to his dragon? Sea Smoke is still on the board because he's alive. They think he's dead, but I was watching the breakdown afterwards on HBO, and then I was watching New Rockstar's after show. That dragon's not going to, just heal to anybody because he's still connected to Homeboy because he's alive. It's not like he's actually dead.
Maybe he gets bonded to his relative and Daemon's daughter. The one that doesn't have a dragon?
Right. And now it's a matter of like, if that does happen, then obviously it stays on Rhaenyra and Daemon's side of this thing. But I think it's interesting that we now have kind of just a middle ground dragon floating around as war is about to break out.
That's true. I don't know what the dragon's gonna do. It might mope. For all we know, it might just pick up and go find its master or the person it's like warged with.
Right.
It's gonna be interesting. It's just I like how the lines are being drawn in the sand. I like the tension building. It's a powder keg, I guess is a great way to describe it, and it's going to blow sooner than later. I just hope that the king dies before it happens, because my man just needs a dirt nap. He's just seen a lot. The days have not been kind.
I don't know how he survived so many time jumps.
Dude, he is still kicking. He's still walking around too. He's doing well enough to obviously be king still.
Allison Emma.
That was funny.
It was.
I liked when he was in the chair. He's like, "Aren't you gonna help me?" Just walks away like.
Also,
no.
Otto back as the hand of the king.
That's nuts.
That's wild behavior.
That's nuts.
I thought this episode was one of the best so far this season. There was, and everybody complaining about the darkness on the screen. Go do your research as to why it looks that way. It's because it's I think it's called a day by night scene. So they shoot that scene during the day, and then they mess with the lighting and everything in post to make it be a night scene. Sure. Do the Game of Thrones directors and writers and everything need to realize that not everybody has high-quality OLED TVs? Yes. But I had no issues on my TV, and I watched it with the lights on. The lights stay on during them dragons.
Get a little scary.
And I didn't have subtitles on, so step your games up.
That's because he had his Tomahawk shades on.
Bang. 25% off code
that
USP.
Was a good segue.
I didn't have a problem with that scene at all, like, depicting everything.
No, people were mad about it because
and I know the scene that happened in Game of Thrones too.
The battle.
And it's funny because it's the same director who did it this time around too.
But to be fair, in other fans' defense, the battle does go on. It's dark for like a solid 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. That was annoying. But like this was only dark for like 5 minutes.
You could see everything, and it felt like it was meant to be that way. You weren't really supposed to see facial expressions.
That was like you kind of painting a picture for yourself. Like Homeboy is scrummaging around. He's obsessed with dragons. He's a little Dahmer.
Obsessed with his niece.
He's a little Dahmer Jr. to throw it on Netflix. He's creepy, dude. Yeah. He has that blankless stare.
I was not mad about that scene at all. So I don't know if it's just because I'm new to them dragons and them thrones, but I saw no issues with that scene at all. I thought it was super like. It flowed well, and like it was like meant to be that way. Like you weren't really supposed to see facial expressions. They're going for a late night walk together, and they're like talking about themselves getting married when Homeboy just lost his wife. Rhaenyra is like trying to separate from her mans who they're not even really in love.
Well, yeah, he's
gay.
Yeah,
for the people that didn't know, like they're plotting and scheming on the low. With nobody, they're trying to not let anybody see them do it. It fit perfectly in my brain, so I enjoyed it. I thought this episode was great, Dylan, and like you said, it really. I think this was the episode that lit the rocket and these next 3 episodes, the rocket's going to go into space. But I really enjoyed this episode. It was one of my favorite of the season so far. For you, what's it on the ranking scale?
Give it like an 8.8. It's really good. It's probably the best one so far, or the second best. I'm not sure what I've rated the other ones, but it's definitely worthy of getting a high score. I really liked. It was a great build up, but with action in terms of tension, like the feud, watching the kids beat the shit out of each other.
Great. Fucking kids.
I was watching it before you came here. I was like, what am I watching?
And I thought the dialogue in this episode was really great.
It's just interesting too. Like, dialogue's great, and it's interesting to see everyone so divided. Like, even the king and the king and queen, Alicent and Viserys. Like, even them, like, you can see their marriage is completely on the rocks. Like, before, she was still kind of like, oh, I love you. Like, like, Alicent, don't do that. Yes, but now he has to basically, the dude's dying, and he can, like, yell her name, and she'll not even turn around, which is crazy because he's still the king. So that's like an act of true defiance in terms of the confines of marriage and, like, fealty or monarchy. So my point is, like, Alicent's very strong-willed, and, Rhaenyra tries at the court. She, like, says sorry, that doesn't work, and it's interesting. I just really can't wait to see where it goes, and we know it's going to be bloodshed.
Well, Dylan, when you were gone, I gave them dragons.
Damn boys.
I'm pretty confident. I'm on both episodes you were gone for. I gave them both scores in the 8s.
The episodes have been really good so far. Like, last couple have been they're crushing them.
This is getting the highest score I've given so far. I'm on the same page as you, 8.8.
That's awesome.
So, for the quick math, that's an 8.8 out of 10.
We good at math.
I thought this episode was fantastic. It was I was building up. This was my favorite episode of the season so far. Easily. I thought the tension, the dialogue, the action, the story and plot development and movement were fantastic.
Yeah.
So 8.8 out of 10 for them dragons. No dragon scrolls this week, but send in your tweets, your memes, your theories, thoughts at StreamerSZN. DM us on Twitter or Instagram.
Let us know, man.
Let us know how you're feeling about them dragons in the YouTube comment section as well.
This show makes me want to have my own dragon. I wish that was a possibility.
Facts. I want a Charizard so bad, bro.
You know how much quicker I could get to work?
You know how else you can get to work pretty quickly? By going via hyperspace in a galaxy far, far away, Dylan. Let's head to Andor.
And this is my first time talking about it.
First time.
And we know I'm very critical on Star Wars. And I must say, it's
Your
great.
Thoughts on the first 4?
I haven't seen fucking sand yet. Wait, was there sand? No.
No
sand.
I'm free.
This is it. I'm free. No sand.
No sands.
No
No
Skywalkers.
Tatooine, no Skywalkers.
I'm not knocking the Luke Skywalker.
No
but
lightsabers.
There was no legacy aspect. We didn't even get a Darth Vader or an Emperor reference. We haven't even seen a Stormtrooper yet.
We've gotten 2 ties, if you will, and it came last episode, really, with the introduction of them. Coruscant.
Yes.
And the Kyber Crystal, which the Kyber Crystal really is for the people who have watched the Clone Wars animated series. That's a real callback to that. And if you haven't watched that still, do yourself a favor and do it.
That's a callback to, that could be Jedi or Sith because it makes lightsabers.
And it's a callback to the Star Wars Legends, like, written text.
Yes.
That was not canon when...
There was also, sorry to cut you off, there also was a callback to the Force Unleashed games.
Yes.
You saw the armor in Homeboys. So, yeah.
I think Andor has been fantastic so far, and it's one of those
pleasantly
things where
surprised.
Episode 1, I had to, like, really... I started watching it, and I put it to the side for a little bit to kind of reset because I wasn't... We've talked about this before, too.
To be in the mode.
You have to be in that Star Wars mindset.
And especially, I don't know if you have this problem or anybody at home, please let us know. Diego Luna, I feel like he's talking so quietly. And I have to
love him as an actor.
I love him, and I like the quiet, like, whisper acting, I guess you could call it. I don't like ASMR, which is ironic. But I like it because it creates... it creates, like, a... Well, not like a tension, but like a...
Shh.
Yeah, it creates something, and... He does it well, and it does well to portray around that. But it does it too well, where I had this TV maxed out to hear him whisper. Because Tyler and I were watching it. We watched the first two together, and he looked at me. He paused it. He reached over, paused it, and he was like, "Do you have any idea what they just said?" And I was like, "No." We rewinded it like 2 minutes because we had no idea.
I thought this episode that came out this week was really awesome. It really continued to...
It was good.
Give you more insight to the characters involved.
It's the calm before the storm episode.
Yeah. And, it really felt like, a lot of things are going to boil over next week from a lot of different factions.
I don't think they're all making it out of the heist.
No shot. There's no shot. I don't trust homeboy who cut the kyber crystal off of his neck.
You don't trust, they took our gerbs.
My freedom. There's a lot, like, this show is one that you really have to be like locked in for, because there's a lot to really take in from what they give you.
It's very like you have to interpret.
It's almost in the same sense of watching House of the Dragon, where you have to be locked in.
That's why I meant to say that when we're watching it, almost the way, like, the quality and how it's filmed kind of reminds you of House of Dragons, because this was very practical driven. There wasn't that much CGI.
The whole series, set wise, is practical.
Which future
do it more, Star Wars. Do it more.
Future directors or current directors, which come on the show if you're listening, take notes. Like, the practical way, it's literally has many, 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 many years of being around, and it works. Kyle and I both agree when watching the recent episode of Andor. We were like, wow, this show is gorgeous. The sets and such, and the props and design team and all that. And I really just like that extra effort, because I think that goes a long way. It sounds corny, but like that effort, that making the show look nice in those regards, that helps you vibe into the show more, I guess. That helps create that atmosphere. And you have to do that, especially Kyle just said a minute ago, you have to get into the Star Wars mood. Well, imagine if they only relied on CGI, and like how I'm a person who I complained about some of the Marvel shows' recent CGI. That kind of mindset would carry over to Star Wars. But if you do practical and do it well, people might not like the show, but they sure as shit can't complain about anything that you've done in that regard.
100%. And I think, like we mentioned, like, this was kind of the build it up sequence for this show so far. Like, this was episode 5. There's 12 episodes, so next week is going to be the halfway point, and I think that's where things start to kind of roll down the mountain a little bit to build into what's going to happen.
And there actually is a mountain. So good call there.
Also, I don't know if you picked up on this. I think you just brought this up. The armor, the Sith Stalker armor from Force Awakens was spotted in Andor.
And if that's canonized, Lord have mercy.
Oh, Lord have mercy. But I thought this episode did a really good job of, like we said, kind of, pushing the story along and getting you on the edge of your seat for what's to come, and the inner tension with each faction that we're seeing here in this Andor universe. And I'm very excited to see what's to come next.
I just want to see a stormtrooper already.
Yeah.
I don't like the Empire, but I like the Empire, and that is the most true statement I think I'll say on this pod. I don't understand. When I was younger, my brother and I, big Star Wars fans, still are, out of spite, or maybe it was true. Well, I think now it's but he always chose Empire when we played like games together. I chose Rebels, and that created a literally lasting feud and rivalry between the two of us. But Tyler, if you're listening, I'm switching teams. Down with Rebels. No, I'm kidding. But like, I do like the fact that this is a practical show. I'm very excited to see like battle and action.
Yes,
which we really haven't gotten yet. The only action we've got was him capping those 2 security guards in a hallway or in the alleyway, and then that terrible design factory with hanging motors or whatever it was on the chains. That was pretty cool though. Well, other than that, it's been dialogue driven, and I'm just really excited to see where it goes. I can't say not a lot happened, but like Kyle said, it just talked about some of the characters' background stories.
It was a build-up, setup episode.
Build-up, setup, and it was really just Diego's character kind of watering trying to navigate through his teammates not trusting him. Mm-hmm. Which kind of rightfully so. I hate to be that guy. Like, if you were on there 5-6 months, I mean, you were just camping, waiting for this big job, and then 2 days out, some guy who doesn't say much is like, I'm going to help you. It's kind of sus.
100%.
I'm not saying to go all Tucker Jerubs guy on him, but you never know.
What would you give this episode, Dylan?
I would give it an 8. I think just because it was lacking things, and we'll see where it goes. But that's around my rating in the show. If I were to be, I wasn't here for the other ones, but it's probably been around 7.6 to like 8.1. Like, it hasn't really dipped. It's been kind of a slower show. It's been kind of like building, you know.
I'm gonna give it a 7.9.
So around the same.
Not that it was bad
wavelength, yeah.
But it wasn't the action there yet.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really well done episode. I enjoyed it. I was like craving more. I was like, can we get another episode?
Yeah.
It was one of those type of episodes where it's like, I wish there was a follow up here.
Yes.
But that rounds up to a 7.95, which is actually an 8.0 out of 10 on our scale because we round up numbers on this show. So that is Andor episode 5, which, Dylan, that brings us to everybody's favorite segment. It is the streaming platform Multiverse News and Notes, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports. Baseball postseason is here. NFL's in full swing.
Red October.
College football. NBA preseason is here. NHL right around the corner. All the sports are in full swing. Go to playpickup.com, start playing those headlines. Dylan, last week, Christian and I talked about all the Blade drama.
That was pretty nuts.
Very next day, we got more news on this. So the script for Blade is reportedly being rewritten from scratch.
Good. It sucks.
Bo DeMaio is leading the overhaul after impressing Kevin Feige with writing Moon Knight and the upcoming X-Men 97 animated series. This comes via the direct. This follows Bassam Tariq leaving the project as director. He's staying on as an executive producer. I think this is the best case scenario possible, that Bo DeMaio is on board with this, because that means Midnight Suns, Blade, Moon Knight, let's fucking ride.
Mic drop. No, yeah.
Very excited. I think that's the best possible thing we could get. Dylan, are you a Community fan?
You're making a movie.
It's releasing on Peacock in 2023.
Is it all the same peoples?
I believe everybody, for the most part, is coming back.
Don Glover, too?
I think so.
And who's the older guy? Chevy Chase?
Yep.
All his characters hilarious in that show.
Let's see here.
Basically, if you haven't watched Community, Chevy Chase's character is literally that one grandpa at a family outing that says the most out-of-pocket stuff, and that is him. That is him.
Looking here. So here's a fun one. All you SpongeBob fans, get ready. Bill Skarsgård and Lily Rose Depp will star in Robert Eggers' Nosferatu movie.
Interesting. But you know what's also interesting, Kyle? Speaking of movies, I just talked about this with you before we pod. I watched the trailer for the Super Mario Bros. Today.
We did. It's nuts. It looks visually incredible.
I'm gonna see it.
100%.
I'm gonna see it.
100%.
It's Jack Black as Bowser.
The movie looks great.
I don't care about the whole people are pissed that Chris Pratt got it or didn't get it. It's you have Jack Black as Bowser. It's Mario. The Kyle said the animation CGI, whatever you want to call it, looks fire.
And Super Smash Brothers Universe is coming. Dylan, speaking of our childhood,
he snuck that in there.
Sony,
you snake,
via Hollywood Reporter, they are apparently in development with a new Tarzan movie.
Really?
They are aiming to totally
live
reinvent
action
the character
or
for the 21st century. No writer, filmmaker, or producer is attached at this time.
Live action or animated?
They put a picture of an animated Tarzan.
So I would insinuate that it would be animated then.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool though.
Christian Bale, one of our favorites.
Oh, well,
he wants to be in a Star Wars movie.
Does he really?
Quote, I've still got the figures from when I was little.
That's awesome.
The real nerds know about the stormtrooper who hits his head on the door as he comes through. I wanted to be that guy. But if I'm fortunate enough to be more than that, what a delight that would be.
Christian Bale,
put him in, Luke.
You rock.
You want to feel old, Dylan?
No.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
The Little Toaster? I don't know why I said that.
David Fincher's The Social Network was released 12 years ago this week.
Oh, dude, that's a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Not as good as The Little Toaster, though, Kyle.
We got the new Black Panther Wakanda Forever trailer this week, and Tanaka Huerta, who's playing Namor, says he's not a villain in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Quote, Latin Americans are always the bad guys in Hollywood movies, and now we are the heroes, or an anti-hero in this instance. I like that.
Spoiler! No, that's cool, though.
Did you see, I don't know if you didn't watch the preview for next week's episode, but we do have another big-time time jump in House of the Dragon.
Oh, my Lord, enough.
Aegon and Aemon Targaryen in episode 8. Do you want to see the still image of homeboy who lost his eye?
Yeah, go for it.
He looks so much like Matt Smith.
Wow. That's
Yarr.
crazy. That sucks.
Next up on our list here, I do have the remaining House of the Dragon episode titles and lengths for you, Dylan.
Give it to us.
Episode 8, The Lord of the Tides, 67-minute runtime.
The Lord of the Flies.
Episode 9, The Green Council, 60-minute runtime.
Wow, the Colts won.
That they did, 12-9.
Sorry, people. If you're football, you get it.
Gross. Episode 10, The Black Queen, 63-minute runtime.
Black Queen. Interesting.
Very fun news here. We talked about this before we started recording. Avengers Secret Wars has its script writer, Dylan. I don't know if I told you who it was. Michael Waldron.
I think you did mention this.
I think I brought it up, but I didn't say who it was.
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Michael Waldron, obviously notorious for Rick and Morty, notorious for Loki, notorious for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. He's writing Avengers Secret Wars. Sign me the fuck up. Let's go. Next up on the list here, Todd McFarlane says news about the live-action Spawn movie.
I saw something about this.
It's happening. It's happening, Dylan. I will get to that in just one moment because I do have Emilia Clarke's Secret Invasion role has yet to be revealed. We only saw her in that trailer. A lot of people think she's going to be the Skrull Queen.
She's my queen.
Very excited to see how they portray her there. Jonas, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing this. Cuarón will direct El Muerto, the movie starring Bad Bunny in the Sonyverse.
Sick.
Blue Beetle writer Gareth Dunnet Alcocer will pen the script. Very excited for that movie, to say the least. Looking here. Also, I don't know. It came across once I watched the director rundown of this past episode of House of the Dragon. This past episode was the very first one they filmed. You could kind of feel the awkward tension during that funeral scene where it was like, nobody really knows who the fuck these people are.
That's ingenious, though.
Very smart move.
Because what better way to create legit funeral-esque tension than be like, hey, all y'all sit next to each other.
We have a new movie coming to theaters, Dylan, involving everybody's jolly old Saint Nick, called Violent Night
with
DK Harbor.
You see a trailer for that yet?
I have not watched it. I just saw it pop up on my timeline
pretty
today.
Freaking crazy.
I'm excited. Anything with David Harbour, sign me up.
Yes, Kyle is. Well, we're both fans of him.
We stand DK Harbor, baby.
He's a staple of the show at this point.
But here's our Spawn news. The movie is being written by Scott Silver, Malcolm Spellman, and Matthew Mixum. And Jamie Foxx is still attached to star. Quote, if we've got an A-list actor, A-list producers, A-list writers, then do you want to shoot for A-list directors, A-list cinematographers? The answer is, of course. Let's keep the momentum going.
I appreciate that.
I'm pumped for that. Glass Onion, Knives Out 2.
I need to watch. You need to force me to watch.
We're going
the
to
first
watch
one.
that. Well, here's a fun thing, Dylan. This is the first time this has happened for Netflix. Glass Onion will release in 600 theaters on Thanksgiving for 1 week before going to Netflix.
So they're giving it a little bit of a
They're
theatrical
letting
release.
everybody give that theatric type of thing because Netflix did buy the rights to like the Knives
Because
Out property.
movies are very much back. I think we've learned that recently. People are going out and watching movies again.
Yes.
So some of them are doing quite well in the box office, which I was always curious how it's going to affect streaming.
You know what I'm excited for, Dylan, though? I think this is the biggest news of the streaming week.
Well, by all means.
We've got a Scooby-Doo spin-off aimed at adults with 10 episodes coming to HBO Max. We're getting a Velma series. Velma is confirmed to be lesbian in this show.
Yeah, I saw that Gunn wanted to make that happen in 2002, but they said no.
Yep. And this show is going to be fucking awesome, and I really want to break it down on this show.
Break it down now, yo.
It looks awesome. I'm excited. It's an adult-targeted Scooby-Doo show.
Adult.
Sign us up. I love Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, he's a pretty iconic character, him and Shaggy. Well, the whole van, the whole crew, but Scooby, yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest news stories of the week is we're getting after. I think this is big, especially after they canceled the Scooby-Doo movie that was going to be coming out on HBO Max when they canceled Batgirl and everything. So to get Scooby-Doo project targeted at adults, very exciting.
It is.
But those are the news and notes of the week around the streaming platform Multiverse.
You know what must be done now, people.
Let them know, Dylan.
Do the line.
Let them know. Say the line.
Say the line. You're gonna type this in this time tomorrow. You're gonna find us on YouTube. You're gonna subscribe if you already haven't. You're gonna like, maybe share it. You're gonna comment, and in that comment you're gonna let us know what do you want us to watch going forward. And you can also replicate this slightly different steps to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or as Kyle always says, wherever you get your podcast. Any of those platforms, you're gonna obviously let us know we're doing a great job, and then you're gonna also let us know what to watch, because we're gonna need stuff. House of Dragons is almost over, and She-Hulk's almost over, and Andor's already got
It was almost halfway
a
done.
chunk of yeah, exactly. So we're gonna need some new stuff on the docket, whether it makes the main pod,
Especially during these dark, cold winter evenings that we're not
Where-
going to have any Marvel.
where it gets dark at 5 o'clock.
Like post-Thanksgiving, we're going to need some recommendations. Obviously, Knives Out 2 is on the docket already. But we're going to need some recs. So as Dylan has kindly said, saying the line,
Say the line.
leave the 5-star reviews, leave the 5-star ratings, subscribe to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, and leave us those recommendations.
Or else you'll end up like a
In
character.
a hallway with Daredevil.
I was gonna go darker. I was gonna say you'll end up like a side character on House of Dragons.
Oof.
Yeah, you like fire? No, I'm kidding.
So you like jazz.
You like Huey Lewis in the news?
Follow us on the socials, Twitter and Instagram at StreamerSZN, at UndergroundPHI. Follow Dylan on Twitter at Dylan Mazzola. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're almost a quarter of the way to 1K.
Yes, sir.
You already know what happens when we get to 1K. So subscribe, smash that like button, ring the bell icon, comment down below. Subscribe to the podcast feed if you're an OG audio listener. Go subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple and Spotify. Shout out to the sponsees, Tomahawk Shades, Pickup, Kenwood Beer, and Beano Board. All of their info is linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. But this has been another edition of Streamer Season, the exclusive streaming platform, TV and movie podcast on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. For Dylan, I'm KB. We're going to go Hulk out on a dragon in a galaxy far, far away. Peace.